When the original Three Stooges aired in 1930, it was obviously going to be a big hit. It aired in almost every movie theater. Three Stooges were only shown in movie theaters for the first few years across the country. Three Stooges had begun to air on television, and had multiple spin-offs, including The Three Stooges with Moe, Joe, and Larry, or The Three Stooges with Moe, Shemp, and Larry. But everyone's favorite was probably The Three Stooges with Curly Howard. Opinions began to change when almost every Three Stooges fan was exposed to one of the most shocking episodes yet. It was 1947, and the episode Half-Wit's Holiday was about to come to theaters. This episode marked the end of the Moe, Larry, and Curly era, as Curly had suffered a major stroke on set. Surprisingly, the episode only aired in 2 or 3 movie theaters across the US, and only a few people had attended the screenings for it. On the 4th day of its release, the film aired at a small suburban neighborhood shopping center. The center had a movie theater with the latest films of the generation. According to the police, only 3 or 4 individuals had arrived in the theater to watch a simple screening of what they thought would be Half-Wit's Holiday. It would later be revealed that it would be much more than that. The episode started off normally, as any regular episode would. The title frame slowly faded into view and remained on screen for a solid minute. This is when things began to go awry. The title frame began to shake violently, then disappeared altogether. Viewers were shown a white screen for a good 5 minutes and reported, "Quite a ruckus, possibly a struggle of an individual." An alternative title frame slowly faded into view and was simply titled The Three Stooges, in a similar font, except without the faces of the main actors, and the music playing in the background. The title frame faded out, and the name of the episode was widely printed across the screen. The words read, "Dead Dunderheads," for a split second, then abruptly transferred to Dead Dunderheads, to simply just to Dead. The screens quickly transferred to the actual episode. A camera faced a room with no furniture, with the exception of some tarp on the ground and a ladder in the background. It apparently looked as if the room was being remodeled. A man dressed up as Moe waddles onto the screen reluctantly, wearing a cheap bowl-cut wig that looked like it was about to fall off. A tag was clearly seen at the back of the wig. Whether it was for entertainment purposes or not, the man had a worried look on his face, his eyes darting around the room nervously, his fingers constantly fidgeting. He appeared to be waiting for someone to come on screen. Small murmurs were heard in the background, and after about 30 seconds, a so-called Curry is apparently pushed on screen. Curry was an overweight man with a black eye and multiple cuts on his cheeks and scalp. His mouth was slanted in a downward position, and he too looked nervous. He told Moe to check the flooring on the other side of the room in an unprofessional way, quietly with a couple of words slurred. Moe shuffles off camera, and as soon as he leaves the side of the camera, a so-called Larry walks onto the screen. This had to be worst of the two. It was a female with her hair messily cut and styled to represent the original Larry from the original Stooges. During lines, she would occasionally sob or mispronounce a word or two. It's like me. Curry tells her that he needs to fix the roof and points to the ladder. By now, tears are clearly visible streaming down Mary's face as she hesitates to walk over to the ladder. She finally seems to build up enough courage to climb up a few steps on the ladder and pretends to work on the roof with the wrench. Curry then bends down and pulls out a toolbox. He reveals that he has multiple sharp, dangerous tools with him and lays them out on the tarp. For a few minutes, everything seems too normal. Around the 3-minute mark, Mo walks onto the screen, stares at the ladder that Larry is working on, and it heaves a sigh. He slowly walks by the ladder as the camera zooms onto his feet. One of his feet gets caught onto the legs on the ladder, and the ladder is swept from beneath Larry. Mo hits the ground hard, and a ladder comes crashing down. Larry falls onto the ground on top of the ladder, along with the wrench, which hits Mo on the back of the head. Mo appears to spew blood on the ground, but by the next frame the blood is gone and Mo is cleaned up. A look of pain comes onto the face of the female Larry. He struggles to stand up, and it appears that he landed on his wrist. He clenches his wrist tightly as he walks over to Mo, waits for him to stand up, and pokes him in the eye, rather aggressively. Mo cries, "Oh!" and falls to the ground. His hands covering his eyes, he quickly works himself up and gives Larry a death glare and says a chilling line, "If you want a war, you will get a war." He smacks Larry upside the head, leaving Larry distorted and in pain. He pushes Curry out of the way, who had finished laying out all of the tools, and Mo bends down and picks up the screwdriver. He trudges over to Larry, who is still hunched over in pain. He taps on Larry's shoulder. Larry looks up, and Mo drives his screwdriver into Larry's eye. By now, 3 of the 4 audience members have gotten up and left the theater. Children were crying, women were shaking in fear. The only remaining audience, remember, was a male in his 20s and an immature filmmaker studying the art of movies and television shorts so that one day a film could end up in the theaters. Sure, he was disgusted, but he had no idea that it was real. He continued to take notes about the film's violent nature. The 3 audience members report to the staff, who assumed that the wrong movie was playing, and also assumed that everyone has left the theater, so they leave the film running. Mo lets go of the screwdriver and puts his bloody hands over his eyes, appearing to block the violence away from his vision. The camera now focuses on Larry, now crying, blood running down his face. Larry drops to the tarp and passes out from shock. It is unknown if Larry is even alive by now, but if it even matters, Mo bends down and yanks the screwdriver out of Larry's eye. The screwdriver now possibly penetrated the brain, leaving Larry motionless on the tarp. Mo faces the camera and mutters, "Your heart is sick." The film is obviously edited out because a puddle of blood had now formed underneath Larry, and Mo had multiple bruises and cuts on his face now. The man watching the film later complained to the authorities that the film began to get fuzzy and distorted, giving me a headache. A headache indeed. The film appears to be damaged at this part of the film reel, as the screen flashes white and black rapidly, leaving a next series of events illegible for the next few minutes. After the flashing stops, the audio appears to not work anymore. As it appears, Mo is saying something to Curry, but it is impossible to hear what they're saying. Since the beginning and the end of the white flashing, Mo appears to have new cuts, and Curry appears to have a sliced lip. Larry is obviously dead at this point, but the actors pay no knowledge of him. Mo appears to be sawing some wood with a rusty old saw, and Curry is hammering some nails on the wall for no apparent reason. As Curry walks across the room to get some more nails off screen, he slips onto the tools he had laid down and reaches for Mo to help him. He accidentally grabs for the saw, scratching his hand vulgarly as he hits the ground with the thud. The audio abruptly begins to work again here, as Curry is now heard whimpering as he crawls off screen, leaving a trail of blood. "You fool! Someone could have gotten hurt!" Mo shouts. He scolds Curry when he walks back into the screen, giving him a sturdy punch in the stomach. A strange look comes upon Curry's face as he bends over and vomits up a little fluid. Small chuckles and snickers are heard in the background as Curry returns to punching nails on the wall, now breathing heavier as he was about to burst into tears. After about 5 minutes pass, and Curry asks for some help from Mo to nail some more nails onto the wall. Mo holds the nail as Curry hammers the nail more and more into the wall. You would expect Curry to hit Mo on the thumb with the hammer, but luckily it didn't happen. Instead, Mo walks back to sawing more wood. He asks Curry for help. Curry holds the wooden prank for Mo, who masterfully cuts and deliberately lets the saw blade graze Curry's finger. Curry quickly draws away with a furious look on his face, picks up his hammer, and swings the hammer into Mo's groin. As Mo falls to the ground, blood and cement leak out his pants as he gasps for breath, and he grabs Curry's leg and begins to bite. Curry gives another swing of the hammer into Mo's hand, leaving it dislocated with a few bones snapped. Mo crawls over to the saw, now on the floor, and throws at Curry. The saw blade penetrates Curry's big round belly as blood oozes out both of his stomach and mouth. He lets go of the hammer, which falls upon his toes, making a large echoing cracking sound. Curry begins to mumble gibberish and slurred sentences about toys and sports, and rude remarks about his mother and groin. As he talks and faces the camera, blood often manages to shoot out his mouth and onto the lens of the camera. During the middle of one of his sentences, he collapses to the ground, barely even alive, and manages to grab the hammer, still mumbling on and on about nonsense, like the story, and heaves it with his last bit of strength at Mo, who is now unconscious. The hammer slams into his back, shattering his spine. Curry manages to laugh a bit, but then passes out from blood loss. Loud laughter is now heard again in the film as it decays, leaving a plain white screen. The laughter soon fades out, and the 1 minute the audience is left in awe. The police arrive a few minutes later, who begin to manage to seize the film and evacuate the theater from possible threats. After shock and analysis, when the police entered the room where the film was being projected onto the screen, they found a man, supposedly the one who was supposed to air Half-Wit's Holiday, tied up and intensely beaten. The man remembers little, and is worried that the man who tied up might come back and kill him if he gives any information to the police. It is obvious that the wounds on the man were not self-inflicted, but he is still a major suspect in this case. The man who made the film reel is said to be a sadistic filmmaker who is apparently addicted to the Three Stooges. The police had no information on him at all, apart from some evidence from the film. Police have three things to work out with the film. For a few seconds, a shadow appears of the man holding something similar to a clipboard. The shadow then goes out of sight. The second piece of evidence is a mistakes he had with the film, as he accidentally revealed his tone of voice with a few snickers he had let escape from his mouth multiple times. His voice is deep and howl, and it seems to belong to a white man in his 50s. The third piece of evidence is visible when the person appears to signal for something to come to him, letting his hand come onto the camera. His hand had multiple scars, wrinkles, and freckles, signaling that he was in his late 50s when the film aired that day. The actor for Curry was actually an autistic man kidnapped from the mental hospital when he wandered out of the front door and down to the street. The actor for Mo is a businessman who was addicted to drinking alcohol and doing drugs. He was kidnapped on his way from work. The actress for Larry was a cheating wife of 4 husbands. She was kidnapped while walking to her job. The three had no relations in any way, but the police did discover that they each had flaws in their lives, and the police assumed that the madman wanted to make things more perfect by erasing all flaws from the human race. The film was shot on location in a local abandoned office building. The actor for Mo was pronounced dead. The actress for Larry was also pronounced dead, of course, but the actor for Curry was in critical condition and was on the verge of death. He slowly recuperated and managed to live for a few more years until ending it. He did not tell the police much, but what he did tell was rather helpful. The bad man ran out of the door and drove away. He told his friends that he was going far, far away. The police had been on a lookout all over the country, but there had been no luck. The reward for capturing him was raised to $5 million. Columbia Pictures were notified about this event, but refused to comment on it. A couple of workers quit from Columbia shortly, believing that one of them possibly could have been the sick person that wrote this. As for the amateur filmmaker, he came to be my grandfather, who happened to tell me this whole story. He has also been questioned by the authorities as well, and is also a major suspect in this. The man who had filmed the film, though, is probably dead. If he was in his 50s 70 years ago, the case would be dismissed and all would be at peace. Well, I would love to tell you more, but I have to leave. Someone was talking to me about starring in an independent film.